Okay, so I have a question. It's concerning why the evangelicals um, believe what they believe. Now, we know that from the New Testament and from other sources that there were proselyte Jews, that people converted to Judaism. And we know that people like in the Bible, Ruth was a Moabite, and that she converted. There were people that came out of Israel, or that came out of Egypt, that were not children of Jacob. And we also know that none of the children of Jacob could have married Jewish women because there were none. The only one was Dinah, that would have been a child of Jacob, a daughter of Israel. Now, knowing all that, you go forward, and we find out there's a kingdom named Khazaria that converted to Judaism, and that many the Jews in Eastern Europe are from this Ashkenazi conversion or Khazar conversion, and there's people who think that Ashkenazi Jews, since Ashkenaz was listed among the Gentiles, Jathites, that all Ashkenazi Jews are from the Khazars. Now, if we take into the consideration of conversion after Jesus Christ's birth, life, death, resurrection, and that Christianity believes that, clearly states in Paul that the children of Abraham are those who have his faith, and that they believe the Jews basically went apostate when they didn't accept the Messiah. It would be kind of like if you were living at the time of Moses and you said, I'm just going to believe in Abraham, I'm not going to believe in what Moses brings. Or if you were living later on, and you say, I'm not, if you were part of the northern tribes and you didn't believe, in the southern prophets, keep going down the line. If you sided with the Gentiles against the Maccabees, that would cut you off the Hasmonean period. Are these people still under the covenant? Would you still call somebody who's from an apostate religion under the covenant? And then you get to what we call modern day Judaism, which Jews claim is a continuation of the Pharisees. They look to the Sanhedrin, the same body that condemned Christ. So they actively don't believe in Christ. They're the one people who the Christians see, well, you have full scriptures, and Judaism is a rejection of Christ. Because many Jews, early Christianity was only Jewish. Now afterwards you had conversion to Judaism with the Khazars. But still evangelicals have this sick racist type of worship for Judaism and the Jews. They believe that the Jews will play some part in the end times because of verses that they themselves interpret. They haven't been read like that throughout Christianity, modern readings. And the reason I asked this is because I was at work today, and I was talking to a gentleman about, Palestine, the plight of the people there, and later on I mentioned to one woman, because, this topic was running through my mind, and she says, well, the Jews are only taking back what's rightfully theirs. No concern, no compassion whatsoever for the expulsion of the Palestinian people, for their plight, just basically looking at them as just scum thrown out. And this is a Christian woman. So if somebody who lived in Palestine, who converted to Christianity, who may have not been thrown out when the Romans came, let's just say, or there were people living in the countryside that had converted to Christianity, were not identifiably Jewish anymore. those people who are actually from Jewish ancestry are now Christians, who the Christians would have to decide would be the most, I guess, the most Jewish people. These people play no part in the covenant. They can be thrown out. But people who believe in a religion that rejects Christ, that has other teachings like the Talmud and the Kabbalah, and in Talmud it paints Christ in a very negative manner. I believe some passages, some of the Jews say they're not about Christ, they're about somebody named Yeshu, but they call Jesus Yeshu. They refer to him in Israel as Yeshu. He's being boiled in hell. He's the son of the whore. He's actually being boiled in hell in semen with John the Baptist, the other false messiahs. Why? It just seems wildly inconsistent. And when you bring up Khazars or that people could have converted to Judaism, they totally just oh, that can't happen, that can't happen. Even one of my friends who lives in New York says, oh no, what if you look at them, they all look kind of the same. And this would happen with any people who do not encourage conversion and are a closed community in that only marry each other. There's only intermarriage. But even not even saying they all look like each other, and the way the evangelicals treat them, I think, is extremely racist. You're not even looking at them as people. You say, oh, well, they're the promised people. They have their part. They don't need to become, as if you don't need to bring them salvation. They don't need to know. They're just going to be dragged in by their blood, or that you know either they're going to convert or they're going to be made a show of at the last days. And I think this is very screwy. So I have to ask Christians out there, would somebody who converts to modern day Judaism, let's say just a pagan from China, somebody who has no ancestry whatsoever in the Middle East or the Mediterranean, converts to Judaism, are they still part of those covenants that you talk about, those blood covenants? Because if they're not, then how do you know that anybody who claims to be Jewish today actually can go back to that time? So if you talk to modern day Jews, they say no, it's not a race, it's a religion. But the evangelicals and the modern Christians see it as a race, and basically place them as this super race that I don't even think modern day moderate Judaism doesn't claim that. They don't claim themselves as a super race, not at least not the moderates here in America. And first of all, is this extremely racist? And are you allowed to believe this? If you don't believe this, does this screw up your end times thing? And is this a deal breaker for you, where you would leave Christianity? Because there's a very racist element towards Judaism in evangelical. And the evangelicals think, oh, since we're viewing them as a master race, and since we think they're God's chosen people, that's still a negative type of racism. I mean, any racism is negative. That's still not treating them as equals. You're almost treating them like a children now. It's just people, oh, God intentionally blinded them or something. So this is my question to the evangelicals. I know I asked a couple questions in there, but if evangelicals see this, or just regular Christians who believe that there's no quote-unquote replacement theology, I don't even like that word, but how would you view somebody who was not of Jewish ancestry and converted 10 years ago, 1,000 years ago, let's say the day after Christ was crucified? They convert to Judaism. Are they still part of that blood covenant? Thank you. I hope for an answer on this one.